I smell food. But it smells weird though. Oh, flip. My roommate's cooking. She doesn't know how to cook. Just get the spices all wrong. Last time she cooked, I was in the toilet. Me and the toilet were like this. I'm not in the mood for that. I'm ordering food. I'm going on to Uber Eats. I'm not doing this to myself again. I'm
gonna try. Work till I die, till I die. I'm gonna fail and get up, 'cause I'm not giving up on my dream.
Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kopano and this is How I Do Things, the show where you send me your questions and I'll let you know how I do things, and I can take it as advice or use it as entertainment. Use it, don't use it. Take it, don't take it. Do what you will with it. Listen, I'm no pro, I'm no professional at all. I'm just letting you know what I would do if I was in your shoes. It's a Saturday morning, so what better topic to talk about than food, darling? Food! Many of you have been asking, please, more food. So I keep them coming, darling. I give the people what they want. They want lashes. Ha! There they are. So if you want food, here's the food. I'm going to give you as much food as you want. It was a random Tuesday when I decided to make udon curry, right? And a whole carrot cake. Like I started baking at like 8 or 9 p.m. Why? I just wanted more carrot cake. I'd made carrot cake on the Sunday and it finished and I just wanted more. So what do? Babes makes more cake. So today I'm going to show you one of my favorite noodle recipes. I'm a noodle lover. Japanese inspired udon broth, which is a curry. It has that nice mushrooms in it. It's really nice. This time I made it with normal button mushrooms, white button mushrooms, instead of making it with wild mushrooms, but you can use whatever it is that you want. Plus a recipe for my favorite carrot cake. This is honestly the best carrot cake, especially according to the carrot cake connoisseur, my husband, who loves carrot cake, is just like, this recipe is the one. Now, if you have any questions or suggestions of videos that you want to see in the future, let me know. Head over to my Instagram and look for this picture right here. It is the questions picture. Head over to @Kopano. Look on my profile page. You'll see a little lavender circle that says How I Do Things. Click on it. You'll see this picture right here. Reply and let me know what video you want to see, and I'll do a video all about it. Even if I don't know how to cook the thing, or I don't know the subject at all, I'll do my research, because this is how the show works. You send me a question, I send out my investigative agents, I look in my encyclopedias, I look online, I look all the places I need to look. I might just even consult a professional, you know, and then I create a video all about it and premiere it every single day, 7:30 a.m. South African time. So pull on through, subscribe, switch on the notification bell so you know when a video goes live. You come on over, you click on the live chat button, and boom, we are there having a full-on conversation about the video that's going live. Now let's not waste any time. Let's get into today's video, where I'll show you firstly how to make a udon broth, a curry, Japanese inspired, love it, delicious, and top it all off with an amazing, the best carrot cake recipe you will ever find. Bloody hell, this color looks so great on me! In this kitchen especially. Hi guys! So today I'm making a Japanese udon broth, well, udon curry broth. Okay, I don't know the right order to say that, but these are udon noodles that I've got from Woolies, and I really love the Japanese style curry udon broth. So that's what I'm making today. So I've got 2 packets of it, and it is going to be vegan. So what I'm doing now is I am just adding it to a little Tupperware with some hot water, and I'm letting it sit while I start cooking the rest of the broth, the actual broth that the udon is going to go into. So it takes quite a bit, a really nice udon broth. So I'm gonna take a nice big pot, and we're gonna start off with the onions or shallots. So if you have shallots, you're going to use 2 shallots, 2 onion, 2 pieces of garlic, some ginger. If you don't have fresh ginger, you can use ginger powder. We're going to use some nice spices in it, some soy sauce, some good curry. Oh, it's going to be delicious. Let's get into it. Now, I don't know about you, but I love to have a good cup of tea or a good cup of coffee. So I'm just having a nice latte that I made with the DeLonghi coffee machine. So let's look at the stars of this show. I'm going to have some ground beef. This is vegan style ground beef. Now you can have anything from chicken bits to beef medallions to ground beef, whatever you choose. I'm also going to be adding a mix of my own special curries that I like to have in food, starting with the Cape Malay mix as well as the Garam Masala blend as well. Then some stock powder, obviously vegetarian, and some soy sauce because if we want anything Japanese inspired, we need some soy sauce and some oregano. And finally, our button mushrooms. Like I said, you can actually use some wild mushrooms or shiitake mushrooms if you want. This is a soup, so it goes in a nice big pot. And I'm going to start off by putting it on a medium-high heat and 1 spoon or 3 spoons of oil, depending how you like to cook your food and how much food you're making. So first off, once the oil is nice and hot, I'm going to then put in the meat or the vegan meat, the vegan style beef pieces, depending on what it is that you're cooking. And I'm just going to let that cook for a little while, about 3 minutes before I add in my shallots. If you're using white or yellow onion, that is fine. This is where you're going to add it in and let it just cook until it's a little translucent.
I burnt the mint because I was busy concentrating on pictures from the home renovation. So it's live. I'm not going to be that YouTuber that doesn't show you that she kind of burnt her food just a little bit. We continue. It will still smell, look, and be delicious anyway. Let's move on.
So once the ground beef and the onions are cooked, we're going to move on and put in the ginger and the garlic so that they can also cook at this stage. I'm just going to stir that in to make sure that it's nicely mixed into the mince and the onion. And if you see sometimes that it does stick to the pot, this is where you can add a little bit of water to help it come off the pot. You don't have to add more oil, just add a little bit of water. Now while that is cooking, I'm going to chop up my mushrooms, depending on whichever mushrooms you want. If you want mushroom slices, if you have your shiitake mushrooms, whatever works for you for this dish. These are the mushrooms I had in the house and I felt like having this dish, so these are the mushrooms I'm going to use. Now next I'm going to add in my curry. This is before adding in the mushrooms. I want my curry to cook before I put in my mushrooms. After my curry is cooked for about a minute, I'm going to add in my oregano and let that cook for another minute before I then reach for the mushrooms. Once my curry and my oregano have let off this beautiful spice and aroma, I'm going to then add in my mushrooms and let them fry for a little while. At this point, the pot is dry. It doesn't have the juices from the mushrooms. But what you want to do at this point is just stir in the mushrooms. And then once the mushrooms start to let off a little bit of that water, we can then move on to the next. So when you're cooking with garam masala, oregano and ginger, it smells really good. Love the smells. Absolutely delicious. Ooh, nutritious. Amazing. Next, I'm going to add in my soy sauce. I'm going to add in about a spoon or half a spoon, depending on how much of that taste that you want from it. Once we're done with that, we're going to just stir it in and let that flavor come out. This is the point where the mushrooms have let off a little bit of that water. So we can stir and close the pot for a little while just so that flavor can come out. Next, I'm going to make my vegetable stock. I'm going to take 3 teaspoons of vegetable stock and I'm going to add in 3 cups of water. After I've let the pot close for about 5 minutes, I'm then going to add in my vegetable stock. I'm going to stir this in, and as you can see, this is going to give us such a great flavor in it. Once I'm done stirring, I'm going to close the pot and let it cook for about 10 minutes or until the stock has seeped into the mushrooms and the vegetarian style meat that's in the pot. At this point, all the flavors are nicely soaked into the ingredients, and it's just left for us to do the last final 2 steps. Next, I'm going to take some cornstarch and I'm going to mix it with some water. Now, there are ingredients in your cornstarch packages, so depending on how thick you want it to be, you may add 3 teaspoons of cornstarch to 1 cup of water to make it medium thick. But if you want it to be not as thick, then you're going to add about 4 cups of water to 3 teaspoons of cornstarch. I'm going to mix this in depending on how thick that you want it to be. I want it to be a medium thickness. As you can see, it makes such a beautiful color, and this is the color that we're going for. And after about 2 minutes, I'm going to add in my udon noodles into the soup. I'm going to let them sit for a little while. After a few minutes, you'll see that they come apart quite easily. This is also why we soak them, just to make sure it's easy for them to come apart. As you can see, about 2 minutes later, even less, it's completely come apart, and we leave this for about a minute and we serve so that the noodles don't get too soft. And this is then your udon broth. This is a curry broth and it's beautiful.
Hey beautiful people, guess what I just did? I just switched on the oven. It is now 8:15. There's the time, and we have a really random craving for carrot cake. So we have the ingredients right here. We have some carrots, some cranberries, some pecans, and some sour cream. And I'm gonna quickly whip up a carrot cake, and you guys get to quickly watch. So this would be vegan if this was vegan sour cream, which is almost impossible to find, so we're just not gonna make it vegan. So enjoy.
So let's look at the ingredients for this recipe. We're going to need some non-dairy milk or dairy milk, whichever you choose, some apple cider vinegar, some all-purpose flour, some baking soda, baking powder, some salt, cinnamon, nutmeg, brown sugar and white sugar, or whichever you choose, some sour cream, some canola oil, vanilla, some cranberries, and some pecans. So I'm first going to start by grating my carrots because I'm going to need about 3 cups of those, so that's going to take a little bit of work. Next, I want to make some chunky cranberries and pecans. So I'm going to take about 50 grams or half a packet of pecans along with some cranberries. Now these aren't fresh, these are dried cranberries. I'm going to make sure that they're nicely separated. I want them to be kind of chunky. So to do that, I'm going to put them in a cup and I'm going to use a pair of scissors just to chop them up and make them nice and chunky, but not too big. Once I'm satisfied, I'm going to prepare my pans. What I'm going to do is outline the bottom of my pan with some baking sheets. I don't like my cakes being stuck at the bottom. I've had some really terrible stories with that. So I'm just going to trace it out and cut out the pieces I need at the bottom. I'm going to spray my baking pans with some baking spray, so whatever oil or butter that you have. And once you're done with that, you're going to lay the sheets inside. Next, I'm going to take 3/4 cups of non-dairy milk plus 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to mix those together in a cup or a bowl and make sure that I put that to the side for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, if you do not have any buttermilk, this is what you can use as a substitute. For this specific recipe, I'm using the milk and apple cider vinegar mix because that's what the recipe says, the recipe from 6vegansisters.com. or you can just use your own buttermilk, which will make the recipe a bit thicker. Next, I'm going to lay out all of my dry ingredients because I'm going to take a medium bowl and whisk those ingredients in. So what you'll need is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to put that into the bowl, whisk it into a medium bowl. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. You're going to whisk those in, and I'm going to just make sure they're all combined nicely before I put my medium bowl to the side. Now I'm going to take all of my wet ingredients along with the sugar. So I'm going to need 2 cups of brown sugar, or alternately 1 cup of brown and 1 cup of white sugar. Then I'm going to add in my sour cream, which is about 3/4 cups of sour cream. I'm going to add 3/4 cup of canola oil and 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence, but for this recipe I used 1 teaspoon of almond essence. And finally, I'm going to mix in my buttermilk or my milk and apple cider vinegar mix. I'm going to first use a spoon to mix them all together to make sure that things are nicely separated. And once I see that they're nicely separated, I'm going to use a whisk to make sure that it's a smooth mix. Finally, I'm going to take my dry ingredients and put them into the bigger bowl with the wet ingredients and mix them in with the spoon. This is what it will look like once you are done. Next, I'm going to add in my carrots and then my mix of cranberries and pecans. Now you can also use walnuts for this ingredient, whatever suits you best if you want something a much softer nut. So I'm going to fold them in. If you don't know how to fold, just stir in circles and make sure that you're not beating it. Don't lift the spoon from the bowl to make sure that you're not creating any more air bubbles than you need to have. Once you're done, it's going to be a nice thick mixture with all of your nice carrots and your pecans and your cranberries inside. If you don't like cranberries, you can add raisins inside there as well. And once you're happy, you can put it into your baking dishes. Now if you want to use 2 baking trays, go ahead. I wanted to make something that looked kind of like a loaf, so I only mixed it into 1 big baking tray. Once I was happy, I popped that into the oven, which was preheated at 180 degrees C, and I left it in there for about 30 to 35 minutes, or until you put a knife or a skewer in there and you see that it comes out clean.
It's in. And baby's asleep. I'm gonna eat it, and we're probably going to be eating cake in the next 40 minutes.
So after 40 minutes, I took out mine because it wasn't ready by 35 minutes. So I put it in for a little longer. So I'm going to take it out of the baking tray and I'm going to let it cool for about an hour. You want it to be completely cool before you start icing it. So it's a nice, beautiful, thick loaf. I love it. It's a cake, but it's not too complicated, too many layers. It's a nice size, not too big, not too small. So I had some leftover lemon icing from my previous cake. If you want to see the recipe for that, I've left it in the description below. But I'm just going to add whatever icing I have left. Lemon icing goes amazing with this cake, specifically a lemon cream cheese icing. I'm going to put on top of my cake a nice thinnish layer, and once I'm all done, I'm going to let it rest in the fridge before we enjoy it right before bed. I hope that you guys enjoyed that one, showing you how we eat on a random Tuesday. Next week, maybe we'll talk about different smoothies throughout the week that I like to take. Maybe, we will see. Until next week, beautiful people, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Kopano Shimange, and this is How I Do Things. Hey gorgeous, thank you so much for watching this video and thank you for making it right until the end. If you have not subscribed yet, click on this button right here. It will help you to subscribe and feel free to watch other videos. Head over to my website www.kopanoshimange.com to download some amazing free resources and see some of the recipes that I really like to use. Until next time, bye.